Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. It's time for Gwinnett Business Radio.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome to Gwinnett Business Radio. I am merely Mike Salmon alongside the incredible Stephen Julian, and we are broadcasting from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio in the beautiful Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. Stephen, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I was also reminded by you today, we've been doing this for more than a few episodes.
Almost 8 years or so?
Almost 8 years. I
mean, back when you had hair.
Yeah, well,
That's when we started.
No, it wasn't that long ago. That was about 20 years ago. When I had a lot fewer pounds.
Yeah,
we could say that.
Both of us.
Yeah, I had some fewer pounds. I might have had more hair. But it was still cropped very short.
You've got the beard now and everything.
I
the
do
mustache.
I have the Rona beard.
So it's just kind of gone south, the
yes,
hair.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's stop talking about hair and start talking to business leaders.
Fortunately, we've got some great people in the studio today that can put up with our banter and our silliness.
We locked the door so they can't leave.
That too. A friend of ours, Sammy Baker, is here in the studio. Sammy is with Contractors' Pest Solution. No S at the end. We have learned that, Sammy.
No S.
No S at the end. And a new friend of ours, FeFe Handy. She's with Page Turners Make Great Learners. We'll find out if that's really true.
I think it will be. Otherwise, she wouldn't put it as the name of her company. But we'll get to that later. That's
agree.
A great tease, Mike.
Yes. So, Sammy, welcome back. Great to see you as always. Contractors' Best Pest Solution. Tell us about your company to get us started here.
Yeah. I've been in the industry for about 26 years. So about 9 years ago, my wife and I talked about it, and we said, we're not getting any younger, so either we go for it or don't, and we decided to start our own business, and we started from scratch. We didn't buy anybody out. We just started with our first customer and got started here in Gwinnett and started in Lawrenceville, but now our office is in Beaufort, and we cover all of North Georgia. And we do a lot of business with home inspectors, real estate agents. We do a lot of new construction as the builders building those houses, and we're just trying to get involved in the community.
Absolutely. Take me back to that 9 years ago when you had that aha moment and some of the reasons you said, I want to do this. Obviously, the thinking was I could probably do it better.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the first thing was we looked at the numbers, and after the crash of the housing industry, it took a little while to recover. So we looked at the numbers, and all of a sudden, new construction's picking up. Turning houses is starting to pick back up. So we said this was the time to get at it or not do it. So we decided to go after it at that point, and we did want to be more conducive for customers. So a lot of large companies put you in a box, and you do it this way or you're not our customer. So what we wanted to do was make it customized for each customer and adapt to them instead of them adapting to us.
So what are some of the ways that you've been able to adapt? I hear that as a consumer, and I think, isn't pest control kind of pest control kind of pest control? So what are some of the things I should be looking out for, or that other people have told you that you can say, hey, we're going to be real conducive for you?
Yeah, the biggest thing is some say we do outside treatment only. So that's what you get, and that's what you're paying for. Some say, well, we're going to do it this way, and if you don't like that, then you don't fit into our model. So what we do is basically go out to the customer, get the information, find out what the issues are that they have, and we customize it to their needs. So some customers we do exterior in the garage only. Some customers we do inside, exterior, garage, attic. We do everything for them. So we just basically put it in the notes and start working with our customer on how we can make it good for them.
And I understand, Sammy, when you talk about your customers, that you kind of have two sorts of customers that you work with. Explain that.
Yeah, it's very important that if you take care of your employees and make it a really nice environment for them to work, and you treat them well and you listen to them, they tend to do the same thing for your customers. So that is very good because we want happy customers and we want happy employees.
So is that two sets of customers there? The
well,
employees and...
So the employees are your customers.
That
right?
is right.
The way
That's my customer.
I got you. Okay.
See, he unpacked it quite well. You just didn't catch on right away.
You're way too smart. Either you're way too smart to be in the pest control business, or
I'm not going to say. Well,
me. Yeah.
could. We're all thinking the same thing, Mike.
Well, here's one of the wonderful things that happens from that. Your employee turnover is very low, and we have to train. I mean, every insect is different. An ant is different. A roach is different. Termites are different. They're all in their own group of how to take care of them. And so we need highly trained employees out working with our customers. And if you have constant turnover, some of the large nationals have turnover at 60, 70% a year. That's not good. We want ours to be below 10% every year.
And that's how you take care of them.
Yes.
If you take care of employees and make them part of the team and help them buy in and have ownership and things like that, they're going to stick around. So I'm thinking, again, most consumers think, spray inside, spray outside, roaches, ants, stuff like that. And of course, in Georgia, termites is a huge thing. Quick funny story, I moved to Montana, and when I was looking at the house, I said, so do we have a termite contract? And they were like, you don't need what termite contract? And I was like, you can't live in Georgia without a termite contract. So I learned, termites are mostly warm weather. That's when I learned that. I was kind of dumb. But anyway, back to my question. Because you do, because you're listening to your clients, you're listening to your customers, what are some of the non-standard things that people call you out for? What are the non-standard pest things or some of the pest things that other people won't do that you guys will do?
Well, basically what we do is we try to make it comfortable for them in pricing also. So sometimes other companies charge for things that aren't necessary. So what we do is customize it to that customer of what their needs are, maybe what they can afford, but yet solve it. So that's a lot of the issues we make. We're very price sensitive to customers, and we give a great value. And I think you would find that we do a better job than guys who charge more, but yet we customize it to the needs of that customer.
And I'm gonna give it away. Mike and I both have known Sammy through networking events and networking groups. I know specifically you're kind of known in the circles I run with for especially a mosquito type treatment, and that's not everybody offers that, or they might overcharge, or they might do it when not necessary. So I was going to talk a little bit about those other pests other than just, hey, I'm spraying the walls and spraying around the house.
Yeah, mosquitoes. Most people don't know it's carries more diseases, kills more people every year, and a lot of people in America do not know that or in our area. So malaria kills millions of people a year. So we're in a sophisticated country that things are usually kept up pretty clean. So that likelihood is less in America. But mosquitoes chase people around a house. A lot of kids are allergic to them. The bite makes big sores on them. They love to chase me around houses when I'm doing termite inspections. So what we do is every 25 days to 30 days, once a month, we do a fogging of the house and kill the mosquitoes where they are at. Also, we go around and teach a customer, maybe they want to make more sunlight around their house. Maybe they want to cut limbs back and then have less mosquitoes, and we have to do less treatment. So that's one of the things is they educate customers on how to prevent insects from getting in their house, and we have to use less product, and it's more effective and more efficient.
See, right there, that's the whole thing right there, because you're actually, if you did not educate them, you could actually make more money because you're treating them for a problem that won't ever go away. And you're actually saying, here's how the problem can go away.
Absolutely.
You actually have morals and values. Sammy, what's going on here? But in all seriousness, you have a little mantra with your company that you want all transactions to be not just win-win, but win-win-win. So explain that.
Yes. Every transaction should be a win for the customer.
Right.
Should be a win for the employee, and should be a win for our company. And if we get those things to line up, then we've got a good thing going.
Little marketing advice here. How about win, lose, and the lose would be the bugs.
Oh, I love that. How much you charging me?
That's free marketing advice offered to you by Business RadioX, and specifically Gwinnett Business Radio.
I know you get. I've heard great things about you in the community. As Stephen said, we do network in a lot of similar groups, and so I've heard all positive things about Contractors' Best Pest Solutions. But you're not getting the good reviews from the mosquitoes and the bugs and the roaches, though.
No, We're known as annihilators in that section.
On the World Insect Web, their Yelp page, boy, they really don't like you. That is for sure. Sammy, I wanted to ask you also. We interview a lot of different business leaders, and one of the things business owners will say a lot is, "Hey, we try to find a way as business owners to give back to the community." I want to acknowledge first and foremost that the way you treat your employees is the best way any business owner can give back to the community, because first and foremost, it's the people you're around every day. And if you take care of them and train them well and send them out to do a good job, and and they want to stay because of the environment you've built, that's building a great community, right? So number one, kudos to you for that. I would assume as well that Contractor, because we see you around networking, all that kind of stuff, what are some of the ways that, and you're probably a little bit of, I don't want the left hand to know what the right hand is doing, I don't want to brag or anything like that, but Contractor's Best, besides getting rid of the pests, what are some of the other ways you've been able to see your business in the last 9 years give back to the community? Yeah,
one way is like Kiwanis Club. We do a lot with scholarships. We sell a lot of onions so we can raise money. We do golf tournaments. One of our guys does fabulous father-daughter dance at the first of around Christmas time, and that is something that's just wonderful to see.
So even through your employees, again, if you're doing win-win for them, then they bring things to the table that you can get behind as a business.
Absolutely.
owner.
And then Cares for Kids. We have a lot of agents that real estate organizations we deal with that have golf tournaments, things like that. We try to participate in all of them and help raise funds for them. So we believe in giving back, and the more and the larger we get, I plan on just doing a whole lot more as we grow.
That's the fourth win, right? That'd be the third win. So now it's got to be win, 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 lose to the pest. So, man, this hashtag is getting bigger and bigger as we go.
Now, you're located in Buford. You're based in Buford, but to talk about your service area, how far out do you go?
Yeah, we go all the way to Cartersville. We go up to the lake. We're going down south now. We have a large builder that is now building down in the south side, so we're tending to head that way also. So pretty much metro Atlanta. We're not going to Macon. And we're not going to Chattanooga. And
not that you don't like them, but it's a little bit out of the driving range.
A little bit out of the driving range.
And I was going to ask this. I love the business name because Pest Solution, I think everybody thinks, local home, right? And I've lived in my home for 12 years, and so, who's my pest control person? I love the name Contractors Best because one of your nice markets is the new home construction, and you were talking about that. Have you found that the name has hindered the existing homeowner, or because it's Pest Solution, everybody's and as you've networked, people go, well, I built my home 10 years ago, but I still need Pest Solution.
Yeah, my marketing guy has several times said, well, maybe that's a good name, maybe that's not a good name, but I'm like, well, look, I've been involved in the Home Builder Association for 17 years, and I think it's going to work just fine. And we do a lot of new construction, a lot of custom builders, so I think it's going to fit.
And I learned something. I did not know that contractors will treat for pests, I guess, while they're building or right after they build?
Yes, in Georgia, it is code that you have to pre-treat the house for termites. And it only makes sense because guess what? We're in the hot zone, and they do. We're in that zone that termites do millions of dollars worth of damage.
They don't wait for the home to be finished before trying to get involved in the home. So I learned something today.
I did too.
That's a win for me. Now we're at win, lose.
All right. Well, he counts the number of wins. Sammy, let our listeners know, how can they find out more about Contractors Best? How can they reach out? How can they use your services?
Get a win.
Yes. Absolutely. www.callcontractorsbest.com. You can go on there. There's a lot of great information. Or call 678-765-6525, and that's our office. And if you need me personally for something, you can call me, 678-267-9850.
Go right to the top.
There you go.
How many business owners give their cell phone on our
I sure as heck don't.
Yeah, I know you don't. That's interesting. I think Sammy laid down a challenge. We'll have to see if you take it up.
Sammy Baker, Contractors Best Pest Solution. Thank you, Sammy.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
I think everybody loves when pests aren't involved in their home. The other thing I know that people love is Subaru. Gwinnett Business Radio comes to you from the Subaru of Gwinnett Studios, and love is what makes a Subaru a Subaru. Enjoy big savings and a hassle-free experience at Subaru of Gwinnett, where people sell cars. Visit SubaruofGwinnett.com and join their family today, or come in and see the difference. If you're already a Subaruist, then check out their Facebook page for the latest news, offers, and community events. It had been a while, Mike, since I had done a stupid segue to Subaru. So I thought you'd
Oh, I
enjoy
thought
that.
you were calling Subaru.
No.
Yes.
Never. Subaru's awesome. I love Subaru.
Careful.
You love Subaru. All of our listeners love Subaru.
We do.
But it had been a while since I tried to do a stupid little tie-in segue to a great sponsor.
Just read what Subaru gives us.
I apologize.
And be
I
with
apologize, Subaru. I'll do better next time.
it. All right. Our next guest is FeFe Handy. She is the founder and executive director of Page Turners Make Great Learners. It rhymes every time. You're a poet, didn't know it.
Your feet
I
sure
love it.
show it. They're Longfellows, right? You got to finish that joke. Sorry. I'm going to leave now. I apparently have 2 bad jokes in a row. That's strike 2. One more and I'm
When
out.
Stephen leaves, this becomes a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win. FeFe, thank you for putting up with the shenanigans. Great to have you here. Great to meet you for the first time. Page Turners Make Great Learners. Tell us all about your organization.
Page Turners Make Great Learners is a literacy nonprofit for elementary, middle, and high school kids. We typically partner with Title I schools, and if you know that jargon or if you don't know that jargon, basically Title I schools are schools with a large percentage of children from low-income families. Basically, they get additional resources because a lot of the kids are not reading on grade level. So since they do not get a lot of resources, we bridge the gap in terms of helping them with their literacy initiatives.
So when it comes to helping with a literacy initiative, I would imagine it's not just one thing. I would imagine there's a lot of different things that you guys can specifically help with. Can you give us some examples of ways that you specifically will go into schools or get partnered with schools to help them with that?
Absolutely. First thing I want to make clear is that we do not teach kids how to read. What we do is ignite that love of reading. And a lot of what you will find is parents that say to me all the time, I can't get my kid to read. I can't get my kid to read. He just does not like to read. And my response is, chances are they haven't found their book yet. And that's what we do, is that we help them find the books that they want to read. Because you have a lot of organizations, you have a lot of people that drop off books, right? But do they drop off books that they like to read? And so it's part of my job to find those books that they're reading out there, because there are a lot of kids that are reading, whether they're marginalized or whether they're not. You're looking at the north side of town. There's a lot of kids that haven't found their book yet. So that's a big, large part of my job, is finding those books that they like to read, introducing them to authors, introducing them to various genres that they may not be aware of, that might not be on their library shelves or at home. So that's a huge part of what I do.
Well, FeFe, I love what you're doing. Very noble cause. I want to hear the story, how this came about, and the reasons why you decided I need to do this.
Well, it's a very personal and very selfish act. I was in corporate America. My daughter was struggling with reading. And I say to a lot of people that they think that not being able to read on grade level is a socioeconomic issue, and it's not. It's just a busy parents who didn't pay attention to the little cracks, little things that slip through the crack. Like, your daughter is savvy enough to look at the pictures and be able to tell you what the story is about and convince you that she's read the book. So she's very savvy that way. But interestingly enough, I had a parent-teacher conversation like we parents do, right? And I learned that she was not reading on grade level. She was not far from it. But the feeling that you get as a parent hearing that your child is not reading on grade level, I mean, it's just a huge, huge lose situation. So, and we want to win, right? We want to win as parents. We want to partner in our schools, partner in our child's education. And so I was all about partnering in my child's education. So it was about getting her to read. And how do I do that? She's a social butterfly. She's talkative. She's chatty Cathy. So at the time, Oprah had just come out with her book club. And I thought, and I thought of this before Oprah did. So let me just say that I was the first one to think of the Kiddie Book Club, right?
Oprah, hold my beer.
Hashtag I thought of this before Oprah. So
but no one knew it but me. In any event, I thought, how about I start a kiddie book club with a kick? And the kick would be fun, to take a component of something in a book and then make it leap from the page to the real world. So if we were talking about a book about Jewish culture or chef or a recipe, is to bring that chef in, to bring that dreidel in so that they learn the symbols on all of the sides of the dreidel, play the dreidel song, things like that I knew that I didn't know, and surely they didn't know, but make the book come alive. So essentially that's what I was trying to do, make the book come alive, leap from the page. And so I started this book club with her classmates. So it's no fun if your classmates and your friends aren't a part of it and your mom is just making you read. We've done that didn't work. So making her friends feel a part of it, making her classmates feel a part of it, it became fun. And so my daughter wanted to read more. And so I say that that's my greatest accomplishment, is that she began to pick up a book before she turned on the television. And so that began to grow exponentially. Parents as well as educators wanted to know, what are you doing? What is it that you guys are talking about? So as word spread from school to school, I began to have a job.
So
it went from a volunteer effort to an actual job.
So it really organically started to grow.
It did. It did. It was this love, of course, that I had for my daughter, and wanting to, and understanding that reading is a life skill. It's not just something that you do. It's certainly not a chore or a punishment, but understanding that this is what she needed to do in order to be successful in her academic and professional life. That she was going to have to read for the rest of her life. And I wanted her to fall in love with reading. And I began to understand that it was important for her friends and classmates. And I began to talk with other parents. And then I learned that this became a passion and a purpose for me. And I understood that where I advocated for my daughter, that there were a whole lot of kids out there whose parents can't. And so that's where I also fill in the gap as well. I learned that there's over 60% of low-income families that don't have age-appropriate books in the home. You think in 2020, every kid has a book at home. Surely they do. That is so not true.
Especially considering in this where we are, you almost can't give books away to some extent. And you talked about at the very beginning, it's more than just dropping off books. Yet that is an element of being able to, we should be able to get books into the homes of low-income families who want them, because we can't sell them on, there's so many books. I mean, I've had libraries turn us away from trying to get rid of books that we have that we don't want anymore or don't use anymore.
You'd be surprised the number of schools that say have one series of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. If you know anything about kids, every kid across this nation loves Diary of a Wimpy Kid. A lot of the schools that I serve may have a series, but may be missing book 3. Book 5, book 7, book 10. Imagine a kid going into the library and wanting to finish the series, go to the next book, and that book's not be there. Or they're on a waiting list, waiting to read the next book, and they're 50th on the list. So I say to parents who have books at home and your kids have aged out, take those books to a school. Ask. Do you need books? A lot of times the books that you have under the bed in the garage and you've just been collecting, that's been collecting dust on your shelves, a lot of the schools need. The first thing that gets cut in a lot of these Title I schools are their library and arts. Those are the first things that get cut when they're looking at budget cuts. So you have a library, a school library, that has books on the shelves that may not have the complete series or may not have the series at all because they can't afford them.
We're speaking with FeFe Handy. She is the executive director of Page Turners Make Great Learners, and we are talking about reading, love of reading, getting kids more, elementary, middle school, high school, all getting more involved in reading and becoming page turners. So here's my question. Your nonprofit specifically, what are some of the, how many schools are you currently working with? Or you don't have to give an exact number, but, and how are you working with those schools? Is it bringing in books? You said it isn't teaching, but is it bringing in books? It's doing demonstrations. Are there anything else we're missing that you guys are getting involved in? And this is a really long question. We're going to see how good you are.
You might want to write all this down.
Yeah. And what are you not doing that you'd like to do that you're looking to get some help from and take that nonprofit to the next step?
I'm going to take a stab at this.
Go for it.
The answer to your first question is that we partnered with upwards of 20 schools.
Nice.
That includes elementary, middle, and high school, because what we're learning as we're increasing our footprint is a lot of high schoolers are reading at an elementary and sometimes middle grade level. Mm-hmm. And so, again, it's about finding that book and whetting their appetite and finding out what they want to read.
And I'm going to interject here for just a second, that because you started with that, and that's so important. I immediately went to what was the first group of books or book that really just ignited me to read more and more and more. That's almost a one-on-one. That almost comes out of relationship, doesn't it? It doesn't necessarily. I mean, I guess it could come out of an assembly, but that's a discovery process that. And I guess, is it telling that student it's okay to put this book down and go, I don't like that, and get another one. I don't like that. And find the one you like. I mean, I can think that only happens through relationship and challenge.
Right. If you think about when we were in school, that required reading lists. That required book that you had to read, George Orwell's 1984, Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
Wait,
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Did we go to the same school?
Pride and Prejudice.
Yes. Call of the Wild.
Jane Eyre.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was always like, I'm a guy. I don't want to read Jane Eyre. No offense. It's a great book, but it's not for me.
Right. I hate to say this, but I must. But I detest required reading lists for a lot of reading. The written word is evolving, ever evolving.
Right.
And if we're reading books from 60 years ago, 100 years ago, something is wrong. We need to introduce children to today's written word, speak their language, that written language that resonates with them. We're talking about, and I hate to bring up this issue, but the country is talking about racism and anti-racism, and what it means to be racist. And a lot of my personal friends, colleagues, some of our corporate partners have reached out to us and say, hey, we want to educate ourselves. We want to approach these conversations at home. We want to approach these conversations in our workplaces. We want to approach these conversations in our classrooms. What do we read? Well, that's broadening the scope of the written word. It's important for not only black people, but white people and all colors in between to understand that they're seen, they're valued, that they're heard, that their lives are valued. And how do we do that? We do that through the written word. We do that by what we see. And so if you tell a black kid you're seen, you're valued, you're heard, but they never see themselves on the cover of a book, they never read about their experiences in the text and their culture, then we're missing something. You're telling them, well, you don't have a place. You don't have a place in society. You don't have a place in history. There are a ton of books out there where black kids can see themselves on the cover and they can see themselves in the text. And now you've got all races wanting to read those books. And so that's what we're about. We're about introducing all books to all people to let them know that they're seen and they're valued and that they are heard, and books that resonate with kids.
And going back to the reading list for a second, what I always hated about it is people are telling me what I have to read, and I understand there's an element of that in education. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's one book, but it was like they never let us choose what we wanted to read. They never let us explore, what we could read. My mom used to take me to the library. She was a 6th grade teacher. Mm-hmm. She would take us to the library over summer, and she said, get anything you want. She would never tell us we couldn't bring a book home. And she would always encourage us, go down other aisles, find other things. And we would take huge stacks of books home, and I maybe only read 3 of them, but I'd start one and go, I don't like that. Start one, I don't like that. But I would find things that I would go, this is interesting, this is fascinating. That's how reading is supposed to be, right? And so,
yes.
Let's go ahead. I'm sorry. Okay, so let me go back to the incredibly long question, and ask it this way, or just ask it again. So what's next? What are some of the things you want to do even more in schools? What are some of the things you're not able to do now? Or is it just, I want to keep doing what I'm doing, but I want to do it in more schools?
Well, now that we're in the middle of a pandemic, I think that large, small businesses as well as nonprofits are figuring out how do we retool and repurpose what we do, and how do we reach our constituents? How do we reach our clients and our customers? And my clients are kids. Those are my clients. How do I reach them? And so what we worked to do, dedicated a lot of time to do over the summer, is how do we get books to kids? And so we came up with this idea, a book club in a box. That's how we do it. And we put those books in a box. We put the resources. We not only provide the books, but we also provide teachers with resources as well. I often read all of the books before the kids even get them. So I know what they want to read. That's part of my job. And so it's not giving that teacher one more thing to do, but breaking it down, aligning it with the standards, and showing them how to use the book as a tool to teach the standard, because that's what they're mandated to do. They're mandated to work within a system. We don't want to add anything to an already overloaded plate. We want to be able to give them something where they can read within their reading and ELA blocks. But to teach kids how to have academic conversation, because ultimately that's what teachers are teaching them how to do. Have conversations like this, right? We think about our thinking. We think about what affects us, our families, all of those things. And we're teaching them how to do that. But the modeling starts in the classroom. So we're trying to make it easier for the teacher. So those are the kind of things that we're doing. We're also hosting authors events. So we've had the opportunity to host authors like Jeff Kinney, Sharon Draper, Matt De La Pena, all of these wonderful authors that kids know, but bringing them to them virtually as opposed to in person. That was the great fun of it all, being able to bring those authors into the schools. They have an opportunity to meet and engage with them. They get an autographed book, but now we have to do it in a virtual capacity. So those are the things that we're working on.
As we get ready to wrap things up, FeFe, I do want to get your opinion on something. When it comes to some cultures, reading books is not cool. I mean, growing up, the kid that had all the books was the book nerd or whatever. Playing music is cool. Playing sports is cool. But in some cultures, reading is not cool. How do you overcome that challenge?
Well, I must admit, I was a closet reader. I was that kid who loved to read. I was a voracious reader, but I dare not carry my book in front of my friends. So I read at home. I think now there are a lot of authors out there like Jeff Kinney and Jason Reynolds right now that are making reading cool. But the thing about it is that if you don't know that those authors are out there and you don't introduce those books, there's no way for a kid to know it if it's not on their library shelf, or if a parent is uneducated about it as well, uneducated about those authors and just don't know that they're out there. I think making it real, a lot of movies are books. Think about it. A lot of movies that we see first started out as books.
Absolutely.
And I always say, when that movie comes out, the book is always better.
I hear
bet you
all the time.
I'd be willing to bet. And I actually went to a school where I made a bet with the class. I said, I got you 5 pages in, and if I don't have you 5 pages in, pizza for the whole class. And I asked the teacher to send me video, to get the parents' approval to send me just video from her phone. I got at least 20 videos that I can show you on my phone where they're like, we can have pizza anytime. I love the book, Miss Handy. I love the book. And so that is the best compensation for me ever.
Finally,
a kid
before
falling in love with a book.
Yeah. I love everything. Obviously, great interview. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing everything today. How can the business person out there that's listening help you? What do you need to continue to grow this program?
Well, I hate to say it, but money. Checks are always good. Donations are always good, but book donations are always good. If you have books on your shelves, your kids have aged out, collect those books. Reach out to us. We always accept them. We give them to a lot of the schools that we serve. You can reach us at www.pageturnersgreatlearners.org. You can also, if you want to reach out to me, you can go through our website. It goes directly to my inbox and my email.
All right, I want to repeat that website again, pageturnersgreatlearners.org.
Yes, sir.
Great story, and thank you for, most of us, and I hate to say it, our kid's not doing well, we're going to talk to the kid, try to get it, the light bulb doesn't go off to help everybody else as well.
Yeah.
And you took it to a whole new level, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
In Sammy's case, the only loser was the pests. I don't know if there's a loser in this scenario, except the person who doesn't read.
Everybody listening today, this has been a great show, except for the bugs.
Bugs
are not liking the show.
I do think there's a challenge that anyone who listens to this interview has some avenue to get either a check or support financially or support through books. Good, solid books that will help any age level in school, elementary through high school.
Can you name a book that you tried that you just could not get through when you were younger? Because you said
I really struggled with Gone with the Wind. I had to read it my junior year, and it took a lot of the summer to get through
I had
it.
one book like that. I tried it 3 or 4 times and just could not get past the first chapter, and just All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, because I like that kind of stuff.
I'll ask you, because I thought you were going to ask, what is one book from your either childhood, elementary school, middle school? Like, what was the book that you kept reading over and over that you sticks with you even today? Because mine is a very obscure book. I will never forget the summer that I first read Henry Higgins and the Scientific Pitch. It was one of the it's a corny book, but it was very similar to Beverly Cleary and that kind of stuff. It was about a nerd kid who figured out how to throw a double curveball. And his, it was very Bad News Bearish, but that was one of the greatest. I read it every summer, like 3 or 4 years in a row. I loved it. Yeah. It was right. I identified with Henry Higgins. So Henry Higgins and the Scientific Pitch. I don't even know the author. I should probably go Amazon, find that, and buy it for a penny, and then donate it to Page Turners Make Great Learners.
All right. And I'll mention one that I liked as a kid, just so we can wrap this up. And it may have been on every school's reading list. Rumblefish. Did you have to do Rumblefish?
I did not read Rumblefish.
I'm going to get thumbs up from FeFe.
But I did not read Rumblefish.
That one was kind of cool. Anyway.
When she was talking about I'm sorry, now I'm going to keep going, because when she was talking about Wimpy Kid, she was saying one out of sequence. That was me with the Hardy Boys. If one of the Hardy Boys books was out of sequence, I was like, oh, man, I got to wait for that Hardy Boys book.
But if you were a girl, it wasn't the Hardy Boys.
It was Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew.
When I got done with Hardy Boys, I started Nancy Drew, and I was like, it's not for me.
Sammy's favorite was what as a kid? Kill those bugs.
Mine was Great Expectations.
Nice.
Wow.
Great book. I remember reading that, yeah.
Okay, we could do a whole show.
We just did.
Talking about this. So, FeFe handy again, pageturnersgreatlearners.org. And great stuff. Thank you again.
We were so engaged with 2 great guests that I almost forgot to tell everybody a fantastic piece of news. You can save money. Let's go for a drive at the BMW Performance Center and Open Track, the ultimate driving machine, and you in the driver's seat. This is not a fantasy. You're at the BMW Performance Center. Let's drive. Call in or book online and get a 20% discount if you use the code 20RXT20, 20RXT20. For more information or to book your experience, visit bmwperformancecenter.com or call 888-345-4BMW to reserve your seat now. Again, that discount code is 20RXT20. You know why I did that so well? Because I liked to read when I was younger.
It pays off. All right, we got to get going. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you, Amanda, for producing our show. Thank you to our wonderful guests and to Stephen as well. Remember to follow us on all of the social media channels at Gwinnett Radio X. Until next time, what are you mouthing? Subscribe. And subscribe to our shows on all the podcast platforms, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify. We're all over the place.
Amanda called you down from the producer's booth.
Subscribe.
JJ never did that during his internship.
Bring JJ back. No, we'll see you next time here on Gwinnett Business Radio.